Hey everybody, this is Zuri. Welcome to my art channel and another art tutorial in Procreate. Today's tutorial is really easy, super cute, and was 100% made with brushes you already have in your Procreate brush library. Also, no need for a sketch today because with this project you can go straight to painting. And again, I'll be posting the link for you to download the color palette and make it easy to follow this tutorial. Alright, so with all that being said, let's pretend we are illustrating a story of fairies. Alright, I will begin by opening some basic layers for this project, and I am posting on the screen what the layers I need. I'm gonna need to begin a total of 8 layers. It's gonna be 1 layer for the background, 1 layer for the vines, 1 layer for the leaves, 3 layers for the petals, 1 layer for the center of the flower, and 1 layer for the splashes. And this, if you open these layers, it's gonna be so much easier to follow through. Also, make sure you name your layers to avoid any confusion later ahead, and you do that by tapping on the layer and tapping on rename, and you can just name it like background, vines, leaves. For the petals, it's going to be 3 layers, so you can name that petals 1, petals 2, and petals 3. Alright, so the first layer I'm going to be working on is the background, and for this, I'm going to show you how I'm going to make a background out of a stamp you already have in your brush library. And this stamp is in the water set and it's called Blush. So go ahead and grab that and put it on the first layer. Once you're done with that, go ahead and duplicate that and don't merge yet. Make sure you position this in like in 4 different corners, because we're going to use 4 of these shades to make one big background. As you can see, I am using the selection tools to change the size, the positioning, and the direction of these 4 shapes before I merge all of them in only 1 layer. Once you have the positioning done, go ahead and tap on the layer and slide the other 3 to the side so that you can grab them all together with the selection tool. Enlarge that like if there were only 1 stamp all together, and once they are where you want it, you can go ahead and merge those 4 layers. And that's going to be our background. Now I'm going to add a clipping mask to the background layer, and you do that by tapping on it and then choosing clipping mask. Also, make sure the blending mode is set to linear burn. Now go to the watercolor set of brushes and pick the wet sponge brush and go over the borders and over the little splashes outside. While you are still on the background clipping mask, when you are finished, tap on Adjustments tool, Gaussian blur, and slide until you are between 5 and 8%. Now it's time to go to that layer that you named center, and of course that's going to be the center of the flower. This is the color I'm using. I'll put it on the screen, and go to the artistic set of brushes and pick the wildlife brush. Draw a circle on the screen, and the circle doesn't have to be perfect at all. Now I'm repeating with the center of the flower the same thing I did with the background. I will add a clipping mask, set it to multiply this time, and go back to the water set and pick the wet sponge and go over the borders with the same brown you've been using. Go over the borders, because when you send the blending mode to either linear burn or multiply, this made the color you're applying look even darker, more intense, so you don't have to change the color. I am keeping my layers organized by grouping them, and as you can see, you can just like tap on a layer and tap to the right and then click on group. Alright, next I'm gonna go to petals layer 2. Remember, you open 3 layers for the petals: petals 1, petals 2, and petals 3. So I'm gonna start with the 2, and the reason is because this is going to be my guide to the placement of the rest of the petals for layer 1 and layer 3. The color is right there, and for this you're going to go back to the same brush you used for the center, which is on the artistic set of brushes, and it's called Wildlife. The placement of the petal layer is going to be layer 3 on the bottom, then layer 2 in the middle, and layer 1 on top. As you can see, I am only placing 4 petals in layer 2, and I will also be placing only 4 petals on layer 1. Now move to layer 1 of petals and make sure that layer is on top of layer 2 and then layer 3 is on the bottom under layer 2. Alright, now change the color to the lighter yellow you have on your color palette, and now you're going to place 4 petals, and those 4 petals are going to go in the empty spaces you left on layer 2. But now remember, you're working on layer 1. Alright, now I'm moving to layer 3 of petal. Remember, this petal is under the other 2 layers of petals. And now I'm going to use the empty spaces I have in between the petals I placed on layer 2 and layer 1. And this is the color I'm using. It's posted on the screen. This is the darker orange I have in the petal color. Keep your project organized by placing all the petals in one group. And now it's time to go to the leaf layer and pick the medium green. And now we're going to draw the leaves with the wildlife brush from the artistic set of brushes. To blend the bleeding effect so that it looks like it's water blending with the rest of the color, you can either use the Gaussian blur tool and bring it to like about 5%, or use the smudge tool, but I'd rather use the Gaussian blur or the air brushes to blend the borders with the rest. I am doing now the same thing I did with the petals. I added a clipping mask and set it to multiply, and now I'm using the darker green, which is posted on the screen. Also change to the water set of brushes and click on the wet sponge. Now make sure you have the background under all of the layers like I just did here. It was on top of the leaves and it wasn't supposed to be. Move it all the way to the bottom of everything else. Then on top of that is going to be the vines layer, then the leaves layer, then the petal, which is going to be 3, then 2, then 1, and then the center of the flower on top of that. So to cast shadows takes a few steps, but once you repeat it a few times, you will know it by heart and it's gonna make sense. So the first thing you're going to do is duplicate the layer. Then you will go under the adjustments tools and decrease the brightness to about 28%. And while you are there under that menu, you will go on the Gaussian blur and bring it to about 5 to 8%. Then go on the selection tools and enlarge the size of that layer slightly so that you can see it under the color layer. And then once you do that, you're all done pretty much. But if you feel like the shadow is too dark to your taste, go ahead and decrease the opacity of that layer. Tap on the layer and then tap on the letter N and you can bring the bar down. I usually do decrease the opacity of mine so that the shadows don't look too strong, to about 80 something percent. Alright, so as always, I have listed splashes for the last part, and I'm gonna go ahead and multiply this layer that says splashes about 4 times because that's the amount of splashes I'm going to put. I'm gonna go ahead and put 2 oranges and 2 greens. Choose any green or any yellow or orange you use on your art. And the brush I'm using for this is under spray paints and it's called Flicks. I believe this flower was a great way to understand and practice working with layers. I really hope you found some value in this video. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please remember to give this video a like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more helpful Procreate tutorials. Thank you for watching and see you next time.